Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today we're going to try something a bit unique and hopefully a bit simpler. A lot of you have expressed that you would like to try some of the things that I make, but maybe the templates are a little too advanced for you. And I thought, what could I use from found parts? And it kind of hit me. I was at the grocery store the other day, and with Halloween right around the corner, they put out some of the most random things. I bought this at Kroger's. Doesn't really make much sense to me because octopuses don't have bones, but okay, we'll go with this. I also bought a Menpo on a flash sale on Amazon, dirt cheap. You can get these also at Halloween stores and Walmart and other places right now. And I thought, why not combine the two of those and make something a bit unique, put my own spin on it, but also make it relatively simple, and also use something that I started building props with, which is polyplastic. Most of you, or some of you may know that I started YouTube on Polyplastic's channel, and there's like 20 or 30 videos that I made for them. So I'm going to attempt to combine a Menpo with an octopus and some polyplastic and make a Cthulhu, however you say that, mask. So let's get to building.
So the base of this build is a cheap Menpo I bought off of Amazon and a skeleton octopus I picked up at Kroger's. If you wait until the day after Halloween, usually you can pick these things up for a severe discount. I will start by unscrewing the bottom because I might be able to use the top half of it for another build, so I want to leave it undamaged. Cut off the legs at an angle and be careful. Safety would say put this in a vise and cut it, but I'm pretty comfortable using a Dremel and I work slow. Keep in mind the video is sped up like 4 to 6 times what it actually is. Make sure to wear a respirator and a face shield while doing this. It will shoot off molten hot plastic at your face if you're not careful. I am making holes where I want the tentacles to attach, mostly centered around the mouth opening. I pre-drill the Menpo and the tentacles to make it easy on myself. With my screws partially in, I am ready to begin attaching the tentacles. I play around with which ones go where and just screw them in. Be sure to not screw in too tight or it will drive the screw through the Menpo. The polyplastic will hold the tentacles securely in place so you don't have to go too snug with the screws. Now you can boil polyplastic in water to evenly heat it or heat them up with a heat gun. Just go slow at first because the pellets want to fly up out of the bowl. I made an in-depth how-to with this material on Polyplastic's channel that you could go check out. I'll leave a link in the description. Keep in mind this is literally my first video that I made for YouTube, so it may not be as good as my videos are now. This stuff is hot. It melts around 140 degrees. I'm used to the heat on my hands from all the different prop materials that I use, so you have been warned. When it is hot enough, it turns a translucent color. I am applying it as a filler to help me transition between the tentacles and the Menpo. You can reheat areas to make adjustments also as you go. I keep a bowl of ice water nearby in case I need to set something really quickly. You could make these tentacles and the Menpo itself using just polyplastic. In fact, my Samurai Menpo on their channel was made all out of polyplastic. Thermoplastic is really fun to work with once you get comfortable with the attributes that the material allows. The tentacles have these little spine ridges that pop up on the top and side, so I decided to carry that up onto the rest of the Menpo, so I'm going to add that with the polyplastic. Heat up the area you are going to stick it to, shape your part, and then stick it on. It permanently grabs hold of itself and makes a permanent attachment. Once I was done sculpting, I let it cool down. Then I gave everything a light sanding to ready the surface for spray paint. For a base coat, I'm using spray paint made specifically for plastic surfaces. Then I added in a bunch of green, yellows, and browns to fade in the colors and give it some interest. To pick up on all the details, I first pushed a bunch of brown and black acrylic paint into all the cracks and then wiped most of it away with a paper towel. Then when it dries, I went back and dry brushed lighter greens and yellows over the high points to pick up on more of the detail and give it a good contrast from the cracks. And we are finished. Here is the end result. Overall, I think it looks pretty cool. It is fairly heavy. The polyplastic obviously adds quite a bit of weight to it, but the skeleton itself also did too. But it did save me a lot of time. It wasn't something that I had to sculpt myself, so I literally just cut them off at a little bit of an angle and then secured them on the inside with the screws and then just covered the gaps in between with the polyplastic, and it really does grab a hold of the plastic and the mask, and at the same time giving a great transition between the two things. So yeah, maybe you'll try and make this Cthulhu mask and impress your friends with your ability to turn weird creatures made in the 1920s into your own face mask. I mean, if you think about it logically, yeah. Maybe you'll get some, and inevitably they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these, tell them, much props. You pull these shafts up tight. Yeah, flip your hood up. You stand up and you act like you're tough.